Hi everyone, it's Katrina. Number 8. The Betz Mystery Sphere. In 1974, a family in rural Florida discovered a strange metal sphere. In the jungle terrain of Fort George Island, the Betz family came across an object that was just a bit smaller than a bowling ball. Yet the sphere weighed 8 pounds more than the heaviest bowling ball used by professional players. It was a small but very dense object that looked suspiciously like a cannonball. And according to the Betz family, the sphere did some really strange stuff. The object would act entirely on its own, making unusual noises and rolling around as if it had a brain. This has caused some to believe that the sphere is a piece of lost alien technology, but others claim that the Betz family was totally nuts. The strange metal sphere came into the possession of the family shortly after their home was destroyed in a fire. At first, they thought it was a cannonball from the Spanish colonizers, a relic that was left behind centuries ago. But after they took it home and cleaned it up, the family realized the object was too immaculate. It was too clean to be a cannonball. It wasn't rusted at all and was weirdly shiny. It didn't look like something that had been fired out of a cannon and left to rot in the jungle for a few hundred years. Then the sphere started to make weird noises, which freaked out the Betz family. It would also vibrate at an extreme frequency as if it might explode. The family dog was also terrified of the sphere. It was a whole ordeal. At some point, though, the object was turned over to the U.S. military for analysis. A spokesperson with the Jacksonville Naval Air Station told the St. Petersburg Times that they weren't able to properly X-ray it. Their machines weren't strong enough to penetrate the thick steel. However, the spokesperson did say the object definitely came from Earth. It wasn't an explosive, and they couldn't say who manufactured it, but assured the public it wasn't an alien object. To this day, nobody knows what the mystery sphere is, but many think it's an alien doomsday device. Some have even suggested that it's a solid metal satellite that fell from the sky. Most experts, however, think it's nothing but a giant stainless steel ball. And now for number 7. But first, it's shoutout time! I want to give a big thank you to Duke of the Dance and Patty Simmons for supporting this channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos about amazing discoveries, or dinosaurs, or mysteries in the jungle. We've got it all! Number 7. The Maricoshi. The Maricoshi is the South American version of Bigfoot. Ever since the arrival of the Portuguese and the Spanish in South America, there have been whispers of a massive hairy beast being spotted in the jungle. Not just one giant hairy beast either, but an entire tribe of them. There have been reports of ape-like men living in small groups deep in some of the most isolated regions of the Amazon jungle. But because they have been seen so frequently, nobody can agree on exactly what the Maricoshi is. It could be a group of Bigfoot-like apes, or it could be weirdly hairy tribespeople. There could be only one, or there could be dozens. The Maricoshi could even be an extinct species of ancient primate. One of the more interesting sightings came from the legendary Colonel Percy Fawcett. He was the brave explorer and adventurer who disappeared in search of the lost city of Z, never to be seen again. But before that fateful adventure, the colonel encountered a group of primitive savages, his words, that he couldn't explain. The encounter was detailed in his diary. In 1914, Percy Fawcett came across a group that he described as enormous, hairy savages. He said they looked exactly like monkeys, only they carried bows and arrows. Before you make any assumptions about what Percy was seeing, he wasn't mistaking ordinary Amazonians for monkeys. Percy Fawcett had traveled a lot through the jungles of South America and was well acquainted with the people of the forest. So the group he encountered in 1914 was entirely different from any other tribe. These beings weren't just a little bit hairy, they were supposedly covered in thick fur like a bear. And they also couldn't speak. They had no natural language, only making harsh grunts the same way primates do. Percy Fawcett and his team of adventurers were nearly attacked by the creatures, but luckily, before things turned violent, he scared them off with gunfire. What do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments. Number 6. The White City. Deep in the Honduran rainforest, there is a lost metropolis called the White City. It was initially seen by Spanish colonizers, with its existence later confirmed by explorers from Europe. According to the accounts of these adventurers, the city was dedicated to a mysterious monkey god, which was worshipped by an unknown civilization. It was also a majestic city made of shining white stone. For the past 100 years, archaeologists have been trying to discover the White City. It's become like trying to find the lost city of El Dorado or Atlantis. Then, in 2015, a group of scientists ventured deep into the La Mosquitia region of Honduras, hoping to find the ruins. And amazingly, they did! The team had already gathered evidence of a potential lost city by using satellites and laser scans. According to their research, somebody had lived in La Mosquitia, far in the remote jungle, 1,000 years ago. However, because of the current danger in the area posed by illegal traffickers and loggers, scientists have barely been able to study it. The crew in 2015 did find the ruins of something, though. They came across plazas, statues, and even a pyramid. Oscar Castro from the Honduran Institute of Anthropology and History said the city dates back to at least 1000 AD. Sadly, though, the scientists didn't have much time to investigate. They identified the remains of what was obviously a very impressive city. But was it the White City? Was this the place of legend where a mysterious culture dedicated their lives to a monkey deity? That's the question scientists haven't been able to answer. They haven't been back to check on the city either, so it's still slowly getting eaten by the jungle. Number 5. Ta Prohm Temple. One of the most mysterious temples in the world is located in the jungle of Cambodia. In the ruins of the ancient city of Angkor, Ta Prohm has slowly been consumed by the forest for several centuries. Trees are growing out of the stones, and roots move like huge brown snakes through the walkways of the temple. Many of its walls have collapsed, leaving piles of rubble. It's a lost temple that is so amazing, it looks like it belongs in a fantasy movie. But there's also another unusual feature of the temple that makes it seem unreal. On one of its walls, hidden among perfectly ordinary carvings made by the Khmer Empire 800 years ago, there is an image of a dinosaur. It's a Stegosaurus, a creature that supposedly died with the rest of the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. This is a paleontological beast that the Khmer couldn't have possibly known about. The Khmer were famous for having one of the greatest cities on Earth. They were renowned for their warriors and their skill in battle. However, they weren't famous for their breakthroughs in paleontology. For them to have carved a Stegosaurus on the side of Ta Prohm is just baffling. And what's even more baffling is that the Stegosaurus is right in the middle of a bunch of other carvings of animals that make sense. These carvings are all extremely similar, with the animal in the center of a circular motif. There are images of deer, water buffalo, parrots, and monkeys, but then there's a random carving of a dinosaur. Maybe they found a full skeleton? Or do you think the Khmer Empire was aware of a surviving group of dinosaurs living in Cambodia? And if the dinos did survive, what happened to them? Of course, nobody has the answers. But maybe the Siamese troops destroyed the last Stegosaurus when they destroyed Angkor in 1431. What do you think? Number 4. The Giant Tunnels. A series of immense tunnels have been found in the heart of the Brazilian jungle. The tunnels are ridiculously big and can't be explained by any natural process. Scientists say there is no possible way that nature created the winding tunnels underneath the Brazilian Amazon. But they do have a pretty good guess for how they were created. Scientists believe that the tunnels were made by massive animals, most likely giant ground sloths that were the size of an average car. In 2010, the Brazilian Geological Survey began to put serious effort into learning the secrets of the tunnels. So they focused their attention on a cave in western Brazil. And before long, scientists realized the cave couldn't have been made by natural forces. But they did find a lot of scratch marks on the walls, which were left behind by an extinct prehistoric beast. Scientists began to wonder if the beast had carved the caverns and tunnels themselves, just like a gopher might carve tunnels underneath a field. The most popular hypothesis right now is that beasts were responsible for the twisting tunnels beneath Brazil. These passageways are so big you could pretty much drive a car through one. But the experts can't agree on which animal was responsible. They know the burrows were created at least 10,000 years ago, maybe even further back. They could have been dug by Glossotherium, a giant ground sloth that was about the size of a polar bear. But armadillos are another possibility. Keep in mind that the prehistoric armadillos of Brazil were so big that people could use their shells as houses. Number 3. The lost civilization of the Amazon. Perhaps the greatest unsolved mystery of the jungle is the disappearance of Colonel Percy Fawcett. Not just because nobody knows what happened to the explorer, but also because of everything surrounding his adventure. It all started in 1753 when a group of bandits in Brazil wrote about the discovery of a lost city. This city was supposedly huge, bursting with unimaginable treasure. Then, somehow, the note that was written by the bandits found its way to the National Library of Brazil, where Percy Fawcett got a hold of it in the early 1900s. He was inspired by the mysterious document, known only as Manuscript 512. So he went in search of the fabled city. Percy was preparing for his big journey when World War I suddenly broke out. He took time out of his schedule to battle on the Western Front, and miraculously he survived. Then, in 1920, he journeyed to the Brazilian jungle. But the trip was a failure. Percy contracted some kind of sickness, which gave him a nasty fever and caused him to lose his pack animal. He then went on a second expedition 5 years later, determined to find the lost city of Z. Percy, joined by his son Jack and family friend Riley Rimmel, walked into the density of the great unknown and were never seen again. Sadly, to this day, nobody knows what happened to the expedition. Also, the lost city of Z is still nothing but a myth. Number 2. The Bondo ape. In the Congo rainforest, there's supposedly a group of giant ape monsters that just might be the missing link between humans and chimpanzees. They're called Bondo apes, and those who have seen them claim the apes walk on 2 feet and grow to be the size of a man, but they nest on the ground like gorillas. They're supposedly ferocious and beyond aggressive, with a reputation for slaughtering lions. But scientists don't know if the Bondo ape is a new species of animal. Some experts think they could be a hybrid of gorillas and chimpanzees. Others, however, believe they are a sort of weird in-between creature. Not quite human, but not quite ape. Scientists are very serious about the existence of the Bondo ape. In 1996, conservationist Carl Ammon made a significant effort to discover the truth behind the legendary creature. He reportedly discovered skulls at the Royal Museum for Central Africa that were collected by Belgian colonizers in the Democratic Republic of Congo. These skulls featured a strange ridge along the center, just like a gorilla, only their size was more comparable to the skull of a chimp. Carl thought they must be Bondo ape skulls. He thought a new discovery was waiting for him in the Congo, so Carl went looking for his mystery apes. He spoke to local hunters who all agreed there were giant lion-killing apes lurking in the deepest parts of the jungle, and these apes were immune to poison darts. They howled at the full moon like werewolves, and Carl was even shown photographs of huge dead apes that were shot by hunters. But in the end, he never saw them with his own eyes. He did document a few instances of weirdly large chip poop, and he made some casts of footprints that were even bigger than gorilla footprints, which highly suggested that Bondo apes are real. But for all his hard work, he never saw one of the mythical creatures himself. So, unfortunately, scientists still don't know if Bondo apes are alive in the Congo rainforest. Number 1. Ancient Maya sea monsters. The ancient Maya were obsessed with sea monsters. Everywhere you look in the ruins of Maya cities from Mexico to Guatemala, there are images of terrifying sea beasts. So much so, in fact, that archaeologists think the Maya were documenting their own encounters with real, ferocious animals of the sea. One thing that archaeologists know for sure is that the Maya used shark teeth for a lot of different things. Almost every Maya site has revealed at least a couple of preserved shark teeth, many dating back at least 2,000 years. They were used as jewelry, and some of them were attached to the ends of sticks and used as brutal weapons. The Maya also used shark teeth in painful bloodletting rituals, in which they fed the gods their own life essence. You know what that means. Images of sea creatures can be found on the walls of temples and painted on pieces of pottery. But did the Maya ever witness real sea monsters, or were they merely obsessed with ordinary sharks? Researcher Sarah Newman from James Madison University says the Maya hunted sharks. Sarah says traders moving from coastal cities to the interior with shark teeth likely spread urban legends about monstrous beasts of the deep. These urban legends may have led to some of the more extreme representations of sharks found on monuments. Many of the pieces of artwork made by the Maya show huge sharks, creatures that look more like megalodons than great whites. And these ancient depictions have led some scholars to speculate that the Maya witnessed real sea monsters. After all, they drew images of shark-like monstrosities that looked to be biblical in size. However, Sarah thinks they were just influenced by exaggerated tales that were told to them by shark fishermen. If you lived in the interior of the empire and had never seen the ocean before, it would be easier to believe a traveler's story of Leviathan-sized sharks. But what do you think? Do you think the Maya saw real sea monsters? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!